Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater here. This is Conversations with Larry. It's where I prognosticate on all things track and field. And this is the Laren Hall. This is my man cave. It's my office. My girlfriend, Kathy, really took some time and organized it and fixed it up for me because she knew my brain works better with organization. I am one of those poster children for ADHD. And while being able to do lots of things in different places are part of the whole ADHD thing, that's why I was a pretty good magazine publisher, messes my brain just cannot function in. And so I'm trying, and it's really a 12-step program. I'm trying to keep organized. So bear with me. That's why I have my list down here for our Conversations with Larry. We're going to talk about the future of field events. I love field events. You know, I ran the 800 to the 10,000, and then I ran marathons. But I got to tell you, watching the shot put, men or women's, watching the pole vault, watching Yulimar Rojas in the triple jump, watching a great javelin throw is really exciting. You have to take a little time and learn about those events to appreciate them. But the way our sport is being sold right now, many times, in my opinion, does not give field events the respect and power that it needs. And also, I believe through field events, we can get more Americans involved in the sport. Take the shot put. Ryan Krauser is a big guy. He is 6'8". He moves through the ring, and he's throwing a 16-pound orb over 75 feet. Do you get that? 75 feet? Go mark it out in front of your house, okay? Think about that. A dear friend, Mike Venning, who threw with Joe Mangan and I at Foothill College back in the 90s. Mike is a total track hound, field event hound. He got into the hammer. He got into the shot. He got into the discus. He got into the javelin. And years ago, 30 years ago, he said, Larry, this is what we need to do, man. He said, you need to contact Stanley Tools, and we need to have shot puts in the parking lots of Stanley Tool stores or their dealers. And I said, well, what are we going to give the guys who win? He goes, their weight in stuff from the store, or give them a shopping cart and say, okay, you went 70, you threw 75 feet, you get 7.5 minutes in the store. Whatever you can get into this cart is yours. That would be so much fun. Think about that with streaming and stuff now. You know, he was so ahead of his time. And I remember we were somewhere at a cocktail party, and we'd had a couple beers, and Mike tried to convince the head of USATF at the time to do this. I still think, Mike, it's brilliant. You know, I miss your ideas and miss seeing you, my friend. So that's just an example. I'm wearing a Duluth Trading Company shirt. Why am I doing that? Because Joe Kovacs is sponsored by them. Joe just went 22.46 in the shot. Joe's got twin kids, and he's got a few, you know, between him and his lovely wife, and their kids, they've got a lot, you know, mouths to feed and everything. They spent a month in Hungary before the world champs, and they were the toast of the country because their family is Hungarian. Buy things from Duluth, man. And when you do, tell them you're doing it because of Joe Kovacs, or hashtag Joe Kovacs and stuff. We want Duluth to do more in the sport. You know, they're one of the companies outside of the running brands that are doing things, and that's really important. But in order for field events to take off, we need to educate. Trey Hardy and Paul Swangard do a lovely job on the field events. I would love to see them get a little more time, especially about the deck and the heptathlon. We've got some great performances there, and we should have some big performances in Paris. Anna Hall could win the whole thing, but Anna Hall and Katarina Johnson-Thompson was great drama in Budapest. Many people thought Katarina would medal. They did not think that she would win. Why did she win? I will tell you why she won. If you look at Katarina over her career, she's a perfectionist. In the heptathlon, in the multi-events, perfection is maddening and it's impossible. You got to do the best you can do on that day. That's why Katarina won. She did the best she could on day one, and on day two, she exploded. That's why Pierce LePage won over Damian Warner. Look at what he did in the decathlon on day 2. He won all 5 events. Those are the stories that have to be told, and they got to be done with vigor and interest. And I've seen it done on BBC Radio, just incredible. In Rio in 2016, I got to be part of a very small part of the broadcast one of the nights on the men's 800, and I picked Clayton Murphy for the bronze. But listening to how that whole team put everything together and how interested they got people in the World Championships was incredible. It's communicating that, it's the storytelling, and that's what we've got to do better with field events. I think we should have meets where we just feature field events. I went to a meet in Malmo, Sweden in 2015. Daniel Westfeldt got me to come up. And Mutaz Barshim was doing the high jump. I think it was Ivana Vuleta was doing the long jump, and it was being done with a laser. There was a pole vault. There was a 60-meter straight and a 60-meter hurdle race. They did it in a hockey stadium, and they put about 4,000 people in there. It was a wonderful event, a brilliant event, and very, very exciting. They were going to do a whole series of them, and it unfortunately fell through. But those kind of meets can showcase the sport. We don't have to have full meets all the time. But what I'm concerned about is just making it track meet. We need track and field. There's a glorious history of jumping, hammer throwing. The hammer throw in Europe, the crowd for the hammer throw in Budapest was insane. They were totally into it. And you had the stars there, man. You had Wozniak Nowicki. You had Pavel Faujek. Faujek is like the Ozzy Osbourne of the hammer. Pavel has won 4 world championships. He was going on, 4, I think 4. He was going on the 5th. In one of his championships, he had gone out and celebrated, drank all the Polish beer in the city, which was a lot because they brought in cases, and he ran out of money, and so he paid the taxi driver with his medal and got back to his hotel somehow, and then he forgot. He woke up and he goes, "Oh my God, where's my medal?" Well, the taxi driver found him and got his medal back to him, and he paid us some cash. But Pavel's got great tattoos. He's just crazy. Ben Salash, who got the bronze medal for Hungary in the hammer, led for a while. The crowd was incredible. The roars were great. People get into it. And Hungarians love the javelin, love the hammer, love the shot, love the discus. It's up there with goulash. Imre Nemeth won the hammer in 1948 for Hungary. His son Miklos won the javelin in 76 in Montreal on his first throw, breaking the world record by 3 meters, kids. Yes. And the pictures are just incredible. And Miklos makes the Nemeth javelin, which is a big deal. Now, the javelin, you remember, is just 3 pieces. They've been doing this thing for 3,000 years. But it's the way Miklos orchestrated it and how the height it reaches, but also how it lands. It's a work of art. And those are the things that people need to know about. Getting Louis Johnson to tell the stories about the implements there. Trey Hardy really gets into it, man. Get Trey to get out there and do something early and say, hey, this is how the discuses were done 2,000 years ago. This is how they're done now. This is the differences. This is a shot. Throwing a steel ball, big people throwing steel balls is great, grunting and screaming. My kid, Adam, when he was in 6th and 7th grade, threw the shot. I think he threw about 31 or 32 feet, but he had the best roar when he let that puppy out. You know why? Because I'd taken the kid to see John Godina and Adam Nelson and all these guys, and Nelson just would virtually tear his shirt off, and Adam thought that was so cool. And so when he would do it, he would get just a grunt in there. And my buddy Joe Hansen, my co-coach over at Elmwood, just said, Adam's got the best grunt. And it was true. That's what I was proud of, So it's the sport you can appreciate the sport at many levels, but field events are really, really important. And the future of field events really need to be discussed and really need to be treasured. They're great history, and I don't want to see them lessened. I want to actually see them understood more and appreciated more. This is Larry Eder in praise of field events for Conversations with Larry.